Good morning. Welcome. I'm Steve Lookner, coming to you from the Right Side Broadcasting Studios. We are here with some breaking news coverage. Sorry we had a bit of delay in getting on, but we are on now to cover this breaking news that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes today said he was going to temporarily step aside from the investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 election. This was quite unanticipated. There'd been speculation about it the last couple of weeks, but everyone I saw reporting on this seemed caught off guard by it, no advance notice. And I believe Devin Nunes actually chaired some kind of meeting this morning, but about an hour ago he said he was stepping aside from the investigation. He released a statement, and I want to read that statement to you. That statement from Devin Nunes said, several left-wing activist groups have filed accusations against me with the Office of Congressional Ethics. The charges are entirely false and politically motivated and are being leveled just as the American people are beginning to learn the truth about the improper unmasking of the identities of U.S. citizens and other abuses of power. Despite the baselessness of the charges, I believe it is in the best interest of the House Intelligence Committee and the Congress for me to have Representative Mike Conway, with assistance from Representatives Trey Gowdy and Tom Rooney, temporarily take charge of the committee's Russia investigation while the House Ethics Committee looks into this matter. I will continue to fulfill all my other responsibilities as committee chairman, and I am requesting to speak to the Ethics Committee at the earliest possible opportunity in order to expedite the dismissal of these false claims. So the statement, what we have Devin Nunes saying is that some groups, he says left-wing activist groups, they filed some accusations against him with the Office of Congressional Ethics. He thinks these charges are false, they're politically motivated, but he says it's in the best interest of the committee and for Congress for him to have other people take over the investigation while the House Ethics Committee does their investigation of these charges, which he says are false. And the people taking over for him, he said, are Mike Conway. Mike Conway is the one taking over for him, and also he's being assisted by Representatives Trey Gowdy and Tom Rooney. They will assist Mike Conway in taking over this investigation. So, and it's temporary, I believe. He says, let's get the language here correct. Temporarily take charge. So it's, will he ever come back and lead this investigation? Don't know. It's possible. But he didn't say he was permanently stepping aside from the investigation. He said he was temporarily stepping aside from being in control of the investigation, being in charge of the investigation. He's having these other representatives take charge of it. So that's the statement from Devin Nunes on what happened. And then was another statement that came out from Speaker Paul Ryan, and I want to read this to you as well. This is what Paul Ryan said about Devin Nunes stepping aside this morning. Devin Nunes has earned my trust over many years for his integrity and dedication to the critical work that the Intelligence Committee does to keep America safe. He continues to have that trust, and I know he is eager to demonstrate to the Ethics Committee that he has followed all proper guidelines and laws. In the meantime, it is clear that this process would be a distraction for the House Intelligence Committee's investigation into Russian interference in our election. Chairman Nunes has offered to step aside as the lead Republican on this probe, and I fully support this decision. Chairman Mike Conway, a senior member of the committee, will now lead this investigation in the House. I am confident that he will oversee a professional investigation into Russia's actions and follow the facts wherever they lead. So, Speaker Ryan saying he still trusts Devin Nunes, and he says, Devin Nunes said in his statement, this would be what's going on with this Ethics Committee investigation would be a distraction. And he said, now notice the language, he says, Devin Nunes has offered to step aside as lead Republican on this probe. So at least if you take that at face value, that does not mean Devin Nunes was forced to step aside or really pressured to step aside, forced in all but name. Now, might he have been actually really pressured to step aside? Maybe. We'll talk about that a bit coming up. But at least we have, Devin Nunes and Speaker Ryan saying the reason for Devin Nunes stepping aside is that there were complaints made to the Ethics Committee, and that's important to note that, according to Devin Nunes' statement, it's not that the Ethics Committee of the House all of a sudden said, we're going to investigate you, Devin Nunes, because we think you did something wrong. It's according to Devin Nunes, he said, several left-wing activist groups have filed accusations against me with the Office of Congressional Ethics. So perhaps there's some procedure where they have to look into it now. But that's the reason he's saying that he is being investigated, and him and Devin Nunes and Speaker Ryan say this would be a distraction, and for that reason, Devin Nunes is temporarily stepping aside as the head of the investigation into the Russian interference into the 2016 election. So that's the latest in terms of just a statement from Devin Nunes and Speaker Ryan on this. Would love to hear what you think about this. Do you have any response to this? Are you okay with this? Are you upset that Devin Nunes stepped aside? Would you have liked to see him? Would you have liked to have seen him stay? Would you actually think it would have been a distraction? Is it better to just have this off the table so the left can't complain about it anymore? Are you upset with the fact that Devin Nunes is being investigated by the ISIS committee? Do you not care about that? Would love to hear all of your thoughts on this issue today and your responses. So if you have any comments or you have any questions about it that you'd like us to try to answer, but please just send in your comments if you'd like about how you feel about all this. You can write to me at Lookner, at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. I'll read your comment on the air, as long as it's clean. Or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Another thought I had on this before we move forward is, we talked about this yesterday, when these kind of things happen, I think it's, you want to read what the statements are that are put out, but I think it's also healthy to ask, was there anything else going on behind the scenes that led to this? And one thought I had this morning, I have no idea if there's anything to this, but yesterday we had Steve Bannon being taken off the National Security Committee, and today we had the National Security Council Principals Committee, and I believe he was taken off the National Security Council. So, although he can still go to the meetings, but his role there was taken away from him. And today we have Devin Nunes stepping aside from the House Russia investigation. Now, and Devin Nunes is still the House Intelligence Committee chairman. So we have in 2 days we have a couple of these. You could argue they're cosmetic changes in the sense of Steve Bannon and Devin Nunes still have their positions, and they're not unimportant changes in the sense of Devin Nunes really isn't running this investigation now, and Steve Bannon really isn't going to be on the Principals Committee. But at the same time, a thought I had is, are these connected at all? Okay, and I just got in my ear there's going to be no Sean Spicer press briefing today. There will be stuff going on in the Senate today, which we will also talk about. We will have coverage of that throughout the day, any kind of breaking news coming from the Senate, but no press briefing today. So anyways, I had this thought, which is the Steve Bannon move and the Devin Nunes move connected? And here would be this thought. This thought would be, maybe these are two things that President Trump thought, these moves don't really affect things that much. Here's one thing President Trump could have thought was something like, these, Steve Bannon, he can still go to the National Security Council meetings if he wants. So if he's not on the Principals Committee, big deal. Devin Nunes, whether or not he's leading the investigation will probably come out the exact same way. I personally think this. I don't think it's a big deal whether he leads the investigation or not. So these are two. President Trump could see these two changes as like, look, I'll do these two things. It'll make me look good with certain moderates or certain people. Maybe he's worried about people in Congress and he wants to get some more support in Congress for his upcoming legislation. We're getting an update on the vote in the Senate? I'm sorry? Okay, so to interrupt here, there was a vote in the Senate on whether there would be cloture. Now, what's happening in the Senate, so let's shift for a second just so we get you this news. As you know, the Senate is debating the nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. And the Democrats are filibustering it. And under current rules, to break the filibuster and actually have a vote on Neil Gorsuch, the Republicans would need 60 votes. But they had a vote and there were 41 no votes against cloture, against ending the filibuster. So the filibuster cannot end. So now what has to happen is, if the Republicans are going to get Gorsuch confirmed, now they have to change the rules in the Senate and go nuclear. And the nuclear option would be changing the rules in the Senate so that so that filibusters aren't allowed for Supreme Court nominees anymore, in the sense of you only would need a simple majority to get a Supreme Court nominee through. So previously, now the way the rules are, if the other side filibusters, then the side in favor of the nominee has to get 60 votes to break the filibuster. So you would need, in theory, 60 votes on your side to get a Supreme Court nominee passed. But the Republicans very well may, and I think they will, change the rules today to get Gorsuch passed, and these rules would apply to future nominees, which would make it so that all you would need is 50 votes plus the tiebreaker of the vice president, if need be, to get your nominee passed, and no longer 60 votes. And technically, I don't know if this is that they would change the rules that you can't filibuster, or just change the rule that cloture only requires 50 votes. Maybe what they would do is change the rule so that ending a filibuster only requires 50 votes plus the tiebreaker rather than 60. So we will keep you updated on that. That's going on as well. So as I was saying, though, I had this thought, which is perhaps the Bannon thing yesterday, the Nunes thing today, are connected, in that the White House could have felt that these couple of changes might get a lot of public relations help for them with very little cost. And that's just a thought I had. Not saying it happened. Maybe the White House had nothing to do, didn't pressure Devin Nunes at all. I don't know. Just a thought I had. And I also, let me say this. So I do think, when we speculate on this on our coverage, we say it's speculation. But I do think it's worthwhile to ask, when these events happen, why they happened. And I'm not saying I know for a fact, but I do think very often, from experience, we know that the statements put out on either side about an event don't necessarily reflect everything that happened. So I think it's helpful to speculate on why that happened. But we will always label it as speculation. We're not going to present speculation as fact here. So we'd love to hear from you, any thoughts you have on all this stuff going on today. But the Devin Nunes thing, him stepping aside as the head of the Russia investigation in the House Intelligence Committee. Also, this Senate stuff going on with Neil Gorsuch. And either of those things, if you want to write in, either direct message me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Let me know what you think. Let everyone else out there know what you think. Would love to hear what you think. I'm going to check my Twitter right now to see if we have any comments yet. Robert writes in. Robert says, political BS. Now Dems have Trey Gowdy. Good luck with that. So that is Robert's comment. Robert does not think it makes anything better for Dems to have Trey Gowdy helping to lead the investigation. Thank you, Robert, for writing in. Let's see. Erie K writes in, Trump is slowly becoming swamped. I'm not sure how to take swamped there. You could mean a couple of things like that. Do you mean like there's too much for him to deal with? Or do you mean something else by that, Erie K? Feel free to write back and let me know. This is from, hold on a second. Oh, I think I might have caught myself up here. Hold on. I might have had one more comment here. Are we good? And let me just pull up my email, sorry, so I can be ready with that. So this Devin Nunes thing, there is another interesting question is why today? Why kind of all of a sudden? And because so Devin Nunes in his statement said, I just, this ethics committee stuff is happening and they're looking into me and it'll be a distraction. So I'm going to deal with that stuff right now and I'll let somebody else run the Russia investigation. But I'm guessing it's not like all the ethics committee stuff happened this morning. It's not, I don't think just this morning the ethics committee got some people talked to the ethics committee and said, hey, can you investigate Devin Nunes? And they called them up and said, we're going to investigate you. I don't think that happened all in an hour this morning. So given that probably was in the works for a while, why today? Why now? It's a good question. Will Devin Nunes speak in person about this today? Don't know. Will President Trump tweet about it today or comment about it today? Don't know. We'll let you know what we hear about. There was also a statement from Adam Schiff, which I would like to get here. Let me check my Twitter. Well, I'll get some more of your messages as you write in, but I also am going to check my Twitter here as well for more updates. But first, I'm going to go to your messages. The postulate wrote in. The postulate you wrote in this morning, but I'll read this anyway. You said, Trump has given the Republican Party everything they wanted. They must stand by him, be there for 8, maybe 16 years. I guess with 16 years, do you mean like Pence will run after or Ivanka or something? Thank you, the postulate. Micah, our producer, had a comment. Micah says, the Democrats don't care what is right or wrong. They want the status quo, their money and power. This vote doesn't surprise me. Oh, Micah, you're saying this is on the Supreme Court, correct, Micah? If Micah can hear me out there. Yeah, so Micah was writing about the Supreme Court vote where the Democrats said they wanted to keep filibustering Gorsuch. And Micah says, the Democrats don't care what is right or wrong. They want the status quo, their money and power. This vote doesn't surprise me. So that's Micah's comment about the Supreme Court. Micah Messer, our producer. I'm just checking my Twitter here. So we would love to hear more of your comments on either the Devin Nunes stepping aside as the person running the House Intelligence Committee investigation into the Russia interference in the election, or your comment on what's going on with the Neil Gorsuch hearing. How do you feel about the Republicans today possibly going nuclear and getting rid of the filibuster and saying from now on you only need a simple majority to get a Supreme Court judge nominated and not 60 votes? You only need 51 votes and not 60. How do you feel about that? Let us know. Write in at Lookner, at Lookner on Twitter. Direct message me or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And I was going to check my Twitter for a second. I was going to try to find this Adam Schiff statement. Adam Schiff is the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Let's see if I can find his statement. Give me 1 second as I search here, please. Thank you. Here we go. This is a statement from Adam Schiff. He is the Intel Committee ranking member. He said, today, Chairman Nunes announced that he will be stepping aside from the Russia investigation and passing the reins to Representative Mike Conaway. I know this was not an easy decision for the chairman, with whom I have worked well for many years. He did so in the best interest of the committee, and I respect that decision. I look forward to my continued work with the chairman on the whole host of other important issues that our committee oversees every day in our effort to make sure that the country is protected and our civil liberties are maintained. With respect to Representative Conaway, I look forward to joining with him and putting our investigation fully back on track. The important work of investigating the Russian involvement in our election never subsided, but we have a fresh opportunity to move forward in the unified and nonpartisan way that an investigation of this seriousness demands. So there's an implication at the end here that under Devin Nunes, this investigation would not have been unified and nonpartisan. So that's a statement from Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the Intelligence Committee. And I had a thought when I was reading this. Can I remember the thought I had 10 seconds ago that I was going to say about this? Oh, you know what struck me also about this whole thing with Devin Nunes is, so remember when Jeff Sessions about a month ago, there was such outrage and anger about, oh, he lied to Al Franken, which I don't think was true in the investigation. And, oh, he's got to step down. Oh, Sessions got to step down from the investigation. Just constant coverage, hour after hour, and complaints and outrage. And then he was just like, fine, I'm stepping down, whatever. And then we never heard about it again. And then for the last week and a half or 2 weeks, it's been, oh, Nunes, he's got to step down, anger, outrage. And today he was just like, I'm stepping down, and I bet we won't hear about it again. And it's just like this funny thing where like, there's so much anger and outrage about these things, which I think are ultimately going to be inconsequential. I don't think it'll affect the investigation either way, that Jeff Sessions is running it or not, or from the Justice Department side, or overseeing it from the Justice Department side, or that Devin Nunes is running it or not in the House Intelligence Committee. Because personally, I don't think anything's going to get revealed, that there will be any evidence of collusion between Russia and the Trump candidate campaign on the election. But it's just like, we waste, so that's like between the 2 weeks on the Nunes and the 2 weeks on the Sessions, that to me is just like a month of wasted just energy and outrage and all of this blanket media coverage over these things that ultimately won't have significance really, and all this time that could have been spent on something else. And as I tweeted out this morning, I'm sure there'll be something else that the left finds to get outraged about for a week. But to me it's like it's one thing to be like really upset about something that's consequential, like, you know, when the left was upset about the health care bill. Now, I'm not saying I bought all of their arguments, but it's, you know, whether or not that passes is a big difference to the country. But whether or not Devin Nunes is running the House Intelligence Committee investigation on Russia, is it really worth that degree of outrage? So, and energy and media coverage? I don't think so. That's just my view, though. Let's see. We have... so yeah, I just got handed something. President Putin, was this today, Micah? Oh, so this was just in. This is a little update, news update here. President Putin of Russia made a statement today on the chemical attack. He said, "Don't rush to blame Assad." So the Russian government for the last couple of days has been claiming on this chemical attack that took place in Syria that I think that they said at some point it might have been terrorists or it might have been a false flag operation. Or I think at some point that, you know what they said? They said there was like some ammunition dump or weapons dump that got blown up, and then that's how the chemicals got into the air. So anyways, they say don't blame Assad. The American government says it was Assad controlled. I think there's this other possibility that's not really being explored, that I haven't seen explored that publicly, which is that it could have been Assad forces, but doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing. I mean, I don't know about the organization of the Syrian military, but, you know, mistakes happen, or people do things that they're not authorized to do, or there's a miscommunication. So, you know, could it have been something where it really was the Syrian military who led this chemical attack, but it was a certain division or certain people within it who weren't supposed to be doing it? One thing I saw some people saying yesterday, which I do think has something to it, is isn't there a lot for the Assad regime to lose by having this big chemical attack now? They seem to be doing well in the civil war. Why would they want to do this now? Now, somebody could argue, well, they want to do it now because they're not going to get punished, and maybe there's certain rebel groups that they want to, make afraid, and there's military perhaps advantage to be gained by this, but there's also loss from this. Oh, okay. So all right, sorry. We're shifting around here. Micah just in my ear said some breaking update from the Senate. They are doing a revote on cloture, correct, Micah? All right. So So we're switching around a little bit here, but stuff comes in. So here's what's happening right now. They're debating Neil Gorsuch in the Senate. Democrats are filibustering it. Normally, Republicans would need 60 votes, or anybody would need 60. You need 60 votes to end the filibuster. They had a vote on ending the filibuster. They didn't have enough votes, so the filibuster kept going. They're now having another vote. What I'm wondering is this: have senators gotten together and said, we do not want to go nuclear. We do not want to change the filibuster rule. Have some Democrats and Republicans both gotten together and said this, and said, you know what, let's have another vote. And maybe 8 or 9 Democrats said, let's not change. We don't want to go nuclear. And so they might go over with the Republicans and vote to end the debate. It just seems to me if they're having another vote on this, maybe the most plausible reason they're having the second vote on it, on ending the filibuster, is that they've gotten more votes since the last vote, a little while ago this morning. So my thought is maybe, and also, now that they had the first vote on ending the filibuster and some Democratic senators voted against it, maybe if the Democratic voters switch their vote now, they can say, they can say to their constituents, look, I originally voted against ending the filibuster, but I didn't want to damage the country permanently by having them go nuclear, so I'm going to vote with them to end the filibuster, but only because I didn't want them to go nuclear. That could be so it sounds to me, if they're having the second vote, which was just reported to me in my ear, on ending the filibuster debate, it sounds to me like perhaps some senators are having second thoughts about the Senate going nuclear today and getting rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees. And maybe a certain amount of Democrats are now going to side with the Republicans to end the debate and vote on Judge Gorsuch, just so we don't have a big rule change in the Senate today, which is quite interesting. So we'll keep you updated as that's going on. So all this stuff going on, let us know what you think about all this stuff going on. Give us a shout. Write to me, direct message me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Thank you, Micah, our producer here, for the updates. I want to read this. E.T. wrote in, let's get on with this Go Nuclear. P.S. Thanks, Harry. Harry Reid, I think you're saying. So he originally went nuclear, but not for Supreme Court nominees. He went nuclear for non-Supreme Court judges, federal judges, and executive appointments. But it looks like maybe they won't have to go nuclear today, because if this vote to end the filibuster, this second vote to end the filibuster passes, then that'll end the filibuster. That'll be really interesting to see. Cocoa Nuts in the Bush writes in, GOP needs to go nuclear and change the option for a majority vote. They have enough Republicans now to be able to make majority votes for the next 8 years. If they mess this up, GOP is done weak. Good job, bro. What happens if Republicans get less voters? So, Cocoa Nuts in the Beach, even if the Republicans can't end the filibuster, they can go nuclear. And if they go nuclear, they will have enough votes to get Judge Gorsuch approved. So they have a majority in the Senate, but they don't have 60. So the question is, are they going to pass these nominees with 60 votes, which would require some Democratic support? They can also pass the nominees by getting 60 votes to end the debate. So what can happen is this. The Republicans can cobble together, they can grab some Democrats, and if they can get 60 votes, they can get 60 votes to end the filibuster. And then once they end the filibuster, then there's another vote on Judge Gorsuch, and that vote only requires 51 votes. So what I'm guessing might happen is, since they're doing a second vote on the filibuster now, on whether to end the debate and to have a vote, I'm guessing what might happen is they get 60 votes to end the filibuster, and some Democrats vote with them to end the filibuster. But then when the actual vote on Neil Gorsuch happens, it's only like 52 to 48 or 51 to 49 or whatever. I think they have 52, so it'd be 52-48. And so you'll have some Democrats who vote to end the debate, but then vote against Neil Gorsuch. So I think they'll get Neil Gorsuch through. It's a question of how they do it. Does it require a rule change? Thank you for writing in, though. Trish writes in, big mistake on both counts. I think you mean on Bannon and on Nunes. And you say big mistake on both counts, playing right into the left's narrative, which is Kushner playing the text game with, why is Kushner playing the text game with MSNBC? Too many traitors. I'm not sure about the Kushner reference here. Was he texting MSNBC or something? You can let me know if you want, Trish. But Trish, you think that with Bannon and Nunes, this is very interesting. So, all right. So you think, to finish my thought, you think, Trish, with Bannon and Nunes, it's a big mistake, and that this is giving in to the left. I just got this in my ear. Breaking news update. Wow, this is quite interesting to me. The revote on ending the filibuster failed. So I thought when they had a second vote in the Senate on ending the filibuster, that the reason they were having the second vote, the first vote happened just a little while ago this morning, I thought, well, they won't have a second vote unless they have more votes and it's going to pass. But it failed. Now, another reason they might have had two votes is just to say, look, Republicans can say, look, we had two votes. We tried our best to do this the normal way. We tried our best to just end the filibuster the regular way, but we tried twice, and the Democrats won't go along with it. So now I have to guess it might happen very soon in the Senate that they go nuclear and they change the rules and they make it so that only a majority is required to end a filibuster, and you don't need 60 votes to end a filibuster, which is on a Supreme Court nominee, which has been the rule for a long, long, long time in the Senate. Interesting fact, though, I was looking this up last night. Filibusters in Congress were not originally, they're not in the Constitution, and they were not part of the Senate until a rules change in the early 1800s made them possible. So they were not originally, it's not like constitutional that there's this right, this constitutional right of senators to filibuster. If you look up a history of the filibuster, there's an interesting short article by, it's on by the Brookings Institution online. You can find that there. So we will keep you updated on what's going on with the Senate. That's happening right now. Want to see if there's some more comments from you here. Thank you for writing in. NY Mike 2S writes in, Schiff should recuse himself from wiretapping investigation. I don't care about Nunes stepping aside from a wasteful Russia investigation. Oh, you think Schiff should recuse himself from investigating the President Trump wiretapping investigation if he was wiretapped, you think? Now, why do you think that, NY Mike 2S? I'd be interested in knowing. NY Mike 2S also says, Gorsuch, these dummies have to get this done today. They're going on another vacation for 2 weeks. So the House is going on vacation for 2 weeks today, I believe. Is the Senate today too? Is that when they leave? I don't know. Let's see. Also, NY Mike 2S has one more comment. NY Mike 2S says, the powers that be want Assad overthrown. I actually don't think it was him, not the day before an international conference. Yeah, and I that's a good point, NY Mike 2S. I believe the chemical weapons attack in Syria happened right before this international conference was supposed to happen on it involved Syria in some way. And I think it might have been about providing financial support for countries that are taking in refugees from Syria. Anyways, but it's the more general point that Assad would have a lot to lose from this chemical attack. Now, at the same time, the American government, I don't think, would just come out and say Assad did the chemical attack if they had no reason for it. But a possibility I raised is maybe it's somewhere in the middle, in the sense of maybe it was Syrian forces, but there was some kind of mistake happened, or, for example, it's a couple weeks ago, the American government said, hey, we fired some missiles or missiles in Mosul, and it killed some civilians unintentionally. Now, that's something that happened, and the American military did it, but it wasn't the American military policy to do it. And those kind of things happen once in a while. This stuff happens that wasn't the intention of the military to do, at least at the top level. I don't believe President Trump said kill all those civilians in Mosul. Similarly, maybe there's a world in which the chemical attack in Syria was carried out by Syrian forces, but either it wasn't supposed to be that kind of attack, or there was a miscommunication, or something went wrong in the chain of command or something. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be true both that the Syrian military really did carry out this attack, but it wasn't specifically ordered as this chemical attack. Don't know, but it's worth thinking about, I think. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. Rocks Shocks. So Rock Shocks on Gab, Trout Bugs on Twitter, says, do they have the votes to go nuclear? Turncoat McCain on board? I believe they do have the votes to go nuclear. Now, maybe I'm wrong about this. So now John McCain has said he would be upset if the Republicans went nuclear today, but I don't recall hearing him say he would vote against going nuclear. And I have to imagine he would vote for it. I think Republicans will not accept Judge Gorsuch not going through. My take is that they're going to make him go through even if they have to go nuclear. So that's what I think. We'll see, though. We will see. Let me now check my Twitter real fast to see. Oh, well, I have some more messages. So before I do that, I want to get your messages. This is Dina writes in. Dina, a.k.a. Smiley Gladhands, writes in. Dina says, Steve, I appreciate your commentary, but I wish folks with a platform such as yourself would encourage your viewers to make calls. Okay. But I wish folks with a platform such as yourself would encourage your viewers to make calls and emails. Provide phone numbers and email addresses. Call for action. People are lazy, and those who care aren't organized like the left. Sincerely, Smiley Glad Hands Dina. Thank you, Dina. So what you're saying, Dina, is you think it's important for people, if they are really upset about something or they want Congress to act differently, to call and write their Congress people. And you say, can you provide phone numbers and email addresses? So I guess, there's a balance here between, we could list them on the screen, but that would take up a lot of the screen and stuff. And I will say this, and I've said it before on the air here, I do think I agree with you, Dina, that if people are really want to encourage feel strongly about a certain issue, reach out to your Congress people, reach out to your representatives, and call or email them. But I also think, if you search the web for your representative or your senator or whoever, I think that they make their contact information very accessible. So as long as you can just search the web for it, I think you'll find it pretty easily there. But yeah, I agree with you, Dina. I think people should reach out on both sides of the aisle, no matter what your political persuasion. If you feel strongly about something, reach out to your congressperson. So I just got this update from Micah that the tally on both votes to end the filibuster was the same. It was 55 for, 45 against. So there were 45 no votes to end the filibuster, which suggests to me several Democrats voted for ending it. I wonder if it was people like Joe Manchin and Heidi Heitkamp, and I can't remember who the third one might be, but people who were in states that Trump won and they're Senate Democrats and they're feeling some pressure to go with the Republicans on Gorsuch because they don't want to lose the election in November of 2018 when they're running for re-election for the Senate. So, but I don't know that as a fact. I'm just saying that could be, I'm guessing those are the kind of Democrats who would have voted to end the debate. Let's see here. But thank you, Dina, for the email, by the way. We have another email. This is from Greg. Greg writes in, "It won't end here. The Republicans will never learn. Now the Democrats smell blood. After Flynn, they wanted Bannon and got him, and now Nunes. This will make the hearings look tainted no matter who is chairing. At least that will be the claim by Democrats. Apparently, this is the cause for Nunes stepping down." And he writes, Greg writes, Democracy 21, a Soros-funded group, and Crew, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, requested that the Office of Congressional Ethics investigate whether Nunes publicly revealed classified information in violation of Rule 23, Clause 13, when he told reporters last month that he had obtained information about American intelligence monitoring foreign officials who may have incidentally picked up communications of Trump transition team members. Yeah, I had heard some speculation on TV about this today, too, and the speculation is that when Devin Nunes was talking about some of the stuff he heard about, did he reveal something that wasn't supposed to be revealed? Like maybe he said there's this investigation going on and that's not supposed to be revealed or something. So maybe technically it's some sort of violation of protocol or rules to do that. But anyways, and you're saying, according to the report you told me, Greg, it's a Soros-funded group that filed this claim against him. So, but there's this other question of he says that the Ethics Committee is investigating now and it's going to be a distraction. Did that have to, is there a world in which he could have stayed on even though the Ethics Committee was doing this investigation of him? I have to imagine there was. I have to imagine it was still a choice by Devin Nunes to recuse himself. He didn't have to recuse himself. So you might wonder if there's some other reason for this. Maybe he was pressured by someone, or maybe he just thought it was best for himself to not have to deal with this stuff anymore. It wasn't of any benefit to him. So good questions to be asking about this Devin Nunes thing. Why did he step down exactly? Are there other reasons involved here? We're going to be on here about wow. So I just got this in my ear from Micah. There's a vote in the Senate right now on whether to postpone the vote on Gorsuch till April 24th. So that would be 2 weeks. Micah, is that 2 weeks from Monday? I think it is. So is the Senate, now the thing I don't know is the Senate going on break for the next 2 weeks? That's what I'm not sure of. I think that might be the case. I'm looking it up here because that might explain some of that. This is fascinating that that's happening. I don't see anything about it. I'm looking up U.S. Senate calendars and schedules. Do they have anything on this? I don't see anything yet. So, well, let's assume that the Senate is taking a break. Oh, Senate calendar. Let's see. Maybe I can get it here. Let's see. Oh, that's a whole thing. All right. Well, anyways, I know the House is going on break for a couple weeks. So I'm wondering if the Senate is going on break for a couple weeks, and that's why they would say April 24th. But if this vote, I don't know if this vote will pass, and I don't know which side proposed it, but I could see somebody proposing it as saying, like, look, let's not change the rules today. Let's wait to change the rules, and let's maybe over the next couple of weeks, we can figure out a way to not change the rules and reach some compromise on this. But for all you know, this is not the majority of view, and maybe the majority of most Republicans, because I don't know who proposed this vote, maybe most Republicans just want to get Gorsuch done today or tomorrow. So I have no idea whether this vote will pass or not, because I'm not sure who's proposing it and not sure how people feel on it. But there is a vote going on right now in the Senate. We'll update you on that as to whether to postpone the vote on Judge Gorsuch or the proceedings on Judge Gorsuch till April 24th, which would be 2 weeks from Monday, I believe. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have to imagine that most Republicans want to get this done now. That's my thought. But who knows? We'll see. This is from Matt Mangrum. Matt Mangrum writes in, North Korea is second on the priority list at the moment. This false flag in Syria gets top billing right now. We, the American people, cannot fall into another war based on lies, i.e. Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, etc. So you're worried about this Syria thing for a couple of reasons. The chemical attack thing, you're saying, one, it's taking attention from North Korea, which I think you think should be first on the priority list. It's second, you think there's a risk here of us getting involved militarily in Syria over this chemical attack, which you think maybe is not as we're being told it is. Maybe was not directed personally by Assad, say. So thank you, Matt, for writing in. Solomon's Temple writes in, it is clear that checks and balances have consolidated. We are in a constitutional crisis now, public on the verge of losing trust in the system. Are you referring to Nunes or Gorsuch or Steve Bannon or some combination of them, Solomon's Temple? I'm not sure. Feel free to write in and clarify, but thanks for writing in. NY Mike 2S says, yes, Dina is right. It works. You can find members online, even their Twitter handle. It's a big 5-page list, LOL, but people can print it out. So NY Mike 2S says, if you want to write to your congressperson, do a search online. That information is out there for you. We're on the air for a few more minutes here. Micah, are we going to, do you know, can I ask you, Micah, are we going to be showing the Senate footage? Is that what we're going to be doing? Negative. We're not going to be showing? Oh, well, we'll figure that out in a second. So, all right. So we're going to stay on a few more minutes here. We'll have updates for you. Whether or not we're showing the Senate footage or not, though, we will break in with updates throughout the day as this keeps happening, as the Senate stuff keeps going. And Micah, they're having that vote as we speak? Oh, okay, great, awesome. So, a lot of stuff happening today. We're talking about, we have the Senate stuff going on with Gorsuch. We have Devin Nunes stepping aside from the Russia investigation of the House Intelligence Committee. That's happening. Lots of stuff going on. We'll keep you updated. And who knows what else will happen today. Ms. Teresa writes in, yes, Senate out 2 weeks. Also delayed another vote. Fair trade rep until after Easter break. Thank you for writing in, Ms. Teresa, and telling us. So we only have a couple more minutes in this stream, but I'm guessing we'll come back later. But I just want to check the email. If you want to get any late comments on this particular stream, write us at Lookner, at Lookner, on Twitter. or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. I should also say thank you to the moderators. We've been on the air this morning. Thank you for moderating the chat. And speaking of the chat, if you'd like to donate to us, we do rely on your donations to stay on the air. We could not stay on the air without you. We could not bring you this coverage. We could not cover the Trump rallies. We could not cover CPAC Live. So we really appreciate your donations because they keep us on the air. If you'd like to donate, very easy to do so. At the bottom of the chat room next to this broadcast, if you see the chat room, there's a $sign. You can just click on it. If you click on the $sign, very easy to donate. The other way you can donate is rsbn.tv/donate. That's rsbn.tv/donate. Also, if you want to get updated about our program throughout the day, you can follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, or you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can click the notifications bell on YouTube. Make sure you click that bell, and that way you'll get updated about all of our videos when they get posted. As soon as they're posted, you'll get a notification about that. All right, so I think we have to, Micah, we need to wrap it up. Am I correct? Okay, so we're going to wrap up on this stream right now. We will be back with updates from the Senate. From the Senate as they're doing their Neil Gorsuch debating and nuclear option debating and stuff like that. But for now, this has been our coverage of the breaking news of the Devin Nunes stepping aside as the head of the House Intelligence Committee investigation on the Russia interference in the election. We will update you throughout the day on more of this stuff, on more stuff with Devin Nunes if we hear it, or stuff with the Senate and Neil Gorsuch if we hear it, or anything else if we hear it. So stay tuned throughout the day for updates. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. Our producer, thank you, Micah Messer, for producing. He is at Micah J. Messer, Messer. But for now, have a great day, and we will probably see you pretty soon today. But for now, enjoy your day.